thank you, Kim and Adam, for asking me to be here tonight. I'm really humbled for the chance to share my story. Now, this is the first time I've actually publicly shared this story, so I might ramble a bit because of my nerves, but hopefully I'll bring it all back together and we'll see what happens. But sorry. Now, this is how God sees me. As this perfect, beautiful person, I am unique because he made me that way. He cries when I cry. And then this is how I've been told the world sees me. I am fat. I am ugly. I talk funny. I use too many big words when I talk. I'm weird because I like theater. I'm weird because I like reading. I'm different because I didn't like drinking in high school. I didn't want to do drugs in high school. So the world has told me for most of my life that because of my uniqueness, there's something wrong with me. Let me give you a little bit more of my background here. I grew up as one of 4 children in a very rural town in Pennsylvania. I had 2 older sisters and a younger brother, and that's kind of important in my story. We went to church on Sundays. Our mom taught Sunday school. But we were, to be honest, when I was growing up, we were the kind of family who went to church because it was expected, not because my parents wanted us to know the Word of God. And that's another way how I now different from my family is because they are not churchgoers, and I'm a newcomer to Charlotte, so I've still been trying to find my church home, and I know I'll find it, but that's another way how I differ from the rest of my family because they don't understand why I want that connection. So when I first went to school, because I had 2 older sisters and we were all very close in age, from the get-go, I was compared to my 2 older sisters. The oldest one was the smart one of the family. My other sister, she was the pretty one. And then there was me, as I was once told, well, you're the weird creative snob of the family. Because, again, unlike my oldest sister, I didn't like to study, so I wasn't seen as smart as she is. My other sister, she was very popular. She dated a football player. I didn't date in high school. My boyfriends were Ben and Jerry because one of the ways I dealt with being bullied was because besides praying about, what to do about this, I ate my way through it. That's how I comforted myself. I ate. And anyhow, so... And it wasn't my sister's fault I got compared, and that's just what people do. We unfortunately, we label each other. I just spent some time with my little 7-year-old nephew, and he kind of broke my heart because I'm very sensitive about my upper arms, and he grabbed my upper arm and he said, "Aunt Darcy, your arm is so big." I said, "Yes, honey, my arm's big." And he said, "That means you're really strong, right?" And I said, "Yes, baby, that means I'm strong." And I think it was God saying to him, do that for her, because it made me feel confident, because we were about right, and it's just little ways God's talked to me throughout my life, and he helps me drown out the negative voices I've been told. One particular experience that I had, I was in 5th grade, and it was it was the day we got our school pictures back, and my homeroom teacher, unbeknownst to me, decided he was going to put everyone's picture on top of the blackboard. And so he started putting pictures up, and he got to what turned out to be my picture, and he started laughing hysterically. And he said, holy crap, this is a really bad one. And he said, look, it's the moose. And he held up my picture. And then he put it in the center of the room. And to this day, I still don't like having my picture taken. I've gotten better with it, but before we all started, Nan and Karen, who follow me, were taking selfies, and I just sat there and I thought, I wish I could take a selfie, but I don't do that. Even when I'm with my friends, I'm the photographer because it's gotten better. God has helped me. That was just one person. Another, again, junior high, another teacher. One of my favorite animals, I'm an animal lover, is a manatee still, and I was wearing a shirt with a picture of a manatee on it, and my 7th grade English teacher we were sitting there, we were getting ready for vocabulary tests, and he looked, and he called all of us by our last names. He said, "Oh, Miss Mesaris is wearing her likeness today." And these were my teachers. These were people I was supposed to, who were supposed to be my mentors and guide me. And it got a little bit better in high school. I had some very positive teachers, and then, I think a lot of it was the culture of my high school. Since it was such a small town, athleticism was awarded more than creativity. And again, instead of playing sports or whatnot, I was on the high school paper. I wrote a couple of editorials, and I got teased for what I chose to write about. I wrote one on teenage pregnancy because I thought it would be more interesting than writing about school lunches. I got teased for being weird, 'cause it's gone on and on. I don't want to bore you all by telling you horrible stories, but it's just, school, the fact that school has such bad memories for me, well, I know it's because of God. I could have quit school. When I went to college, I had a horrible roommate experience. She pretty much forced me out of our dorm room. And at one point, I came close to quitting. And I remember I sat in a car with a friend of mine, and he said, "Let's just sit here and think about this." And a little voice in my head said, "You need to stay. You need to stay." And it took me some time to realize who was telling me I needed to stay and keep on going on with school. So I got my degree, and eventually it got a little easier because I was guided to find people who were like me, because I didn't have to necessarily go with, I looked for the people who had my interests. I looked for people who thought it was great that I liked writing, people who enjoyed the fact that I liked theater. I got very heavy into theater, and that actually really helped me because I actually went on to get my Master's of Fine Arts in theater. Me, who hated school at one point, kept on going. I had every reason to stop. I was done with a bachelor's. I could have just gone on and gotten a job, but I went on and I got my Master's of Fine Arts in playwriting, of all things, because I had horrible stage fright, because one of the things I have not mentioned yet is that I stammered horribly as a child, and that was another thing I got made fun of for speech impediment. It was, "Oh, Darcey talks weird." The same teacher who called me Moose, he also would make fun of the way I would say, one of the letters that was hardest for me was R, and I said there was a Heather in my homeroom, and he made fun of me every day until the last day of 8th grade for how I would say her name. And it was, anyhow. Yes, and so because I didn't feel confident to be on a stage talking, I gave others my words I wanted to say. And God gave me that talent to put the words into others' mouths. And then after I got that degree, after working in the workforce for a few years, then I lost my job in theater, and I went back to school to become a librarian and I wasn't sure I was pretty lost at that point. I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I could be a telemarketer, because that's what I did. I started telemarketing. I started calling people on the phone and begging them to buy things. And I was at a crossroads again, and God led me to have a conversation with a woman I'd never met before, and she sat down and she talked to me, and she said, "Well, honey, if you really like books and reading, you need to embrace that. Go back to school to become a librarian." And that's exactly what happened. So at the age of, in my late 20s, I went back to school, became a librarian, which is what I still do. And finally, after 30 some odd years, I'm finally becoming more comfortable in my own skin. I still hear the things that I was called, but God's voice drowns out all the other ones. His love drowns out everybody else's voices I've been hearing in my head for all those years. And okay. Oh, wow. And he has led me to find some amazing people in my life. And I didn't really talk much about my family, and he's led me to people who have become my chosen family, and that's helped me heal, and his love has helped me heal. And one of the things that I have learned is that you realize that there are a lot of amazing people out there to be grateful for, and a loving God, and that's really what life is all about. And that's my story.